Binary DNA. It is said when you take a picture of someone, you capture their soul in the camera. It is also said that if you print it off, that picture contains the soul itself, and you can control them with it. I'm not sure where to start. Do you know what the primordial soup is? A veritable ocean of elements, all floating around randomly, and through millions of years of time, eventually the right set of random circumstances came to pass, and the elements were able to connect together and form the world's first single-cell organism. Now that's a really boiled down version of it, but I'm sure you get the gist. Fast forward a few billion years to the early 1990s, when internet use began to rapidly accelerate. Every home had a computer, and new connections between computers were opening on a by-the-second basis. Trillions of bytes of data began to transfer around the world at the speed of light. Music, text, sound, and most importantly, pictures. Now, if you take a picture of someone and capture their soul, what happens when that picture is converted to data and placed on a hard drive? Does the soul follow? 15 years later, we believe that when you take a picture of someone and upload it onto your computer alongside the image data, a blueprint of the person's soul is imprinted on the file. Look at your pictures folder. How many souls reside in there alone? That's just the beginning, though. These soul blueprints each retain pieces of a puzzle, parts of the soul itself as well. Recently, a group of hackers who refer to themselves as the Cardinals took an interest in this theory and began experiments. They found anomalies within the binary sequences of images based on similar features of the person they had taken a picture of, a binary DNA, if you will. These hackers came to possess a set of 3 extremely important data files, one AVI, one JPEG, and one MP3, each of which possessing interesting, unexplainable qualities. The first, Krill.avi, depicts what appears to be a group of teenagers with a low-resolution camera exploring the basement of a house. The quality of video is distorted beyond any comprehensibility, and the video is very grainy. For most of it, the camera is passed around the group, handed back and forth, and jerked around too much to make anything noticeable out. But at the end, the camera turns at an odd angle, and you can semi-clearly make out a young girl standing in a corner, facing the wall. Her hair is long and black, and she is wearing some form of white dress. You only see her for a split second, but many people who have watched the video claim there seems something wrong with her. Like she's a bit deformed, but not in a way anyone can explain. The truly peculiar property of this video is what happens to the user's computer at the end of it. On the last second of the video, if not already so, the video reports will screen itself. Along with this, you are left with a 1-second looping clip of a window in the wall. It loops 15 times, and then the girl is seen again, standing on the other side of the window with her back to the viewer, slowly wavering back and forth. After a few moments, the video ends and the user's computer permanently shuts down. Inspection has shown that the entire registry becomes completely corrupt, requiring the user to do a total wipe and reinstall. The second file is known as needles.mp3. This sound file, when played, goes on for about 3 minutes. It is extremely distorted. One can occasionally make out some form of voice talking, but most of the sound is some form of growling, rolling, crackling roar. Users who listen to this file often experience extreme nausea and loss of balance for a brief period of time. The final file is known as burningman.jpg. The file name has nothing to do with what the actual image depicts. Instead, it displays a haphazard mess of overlaid meshed images of dolls in a hallway. There seems to be an image of a man standing with his head cast down in the background, but the picture is too distorted to make anything out, much like the other files. The image, when downloaded and opened on a user's desktop, will proceed to stay permanently on screen on whatever program it is opened through. Not only that, but the program becomes disabled. Nothing else happens. The image just permanently sits there on your desktop. unclickable, unminimizable. You're just left there with the man's invisible gaze staring at you. From what the group of hackers were able to discern, this file seems to have precompiled into the data something along the lines of CNDAO. Yet, as complex and intricate as the program is, it works across all OS platforms. No one knows who the original creator is. In fact, few people have heard of it. As the file is uncopyable nor sendable. This further adds to the mystery, as often receivers of this file will obtain it from random anonymous emails posted on forums as a download link, posing the question, how is that poster able to upload it? If you ever see these files, refrain from downloading any of them. They will all have very detrimental effects on your computers. From taking out your whole registry, corrupting System32, freezing your mouse, or crashing your computer, now onwards. This group of hackers, the Cardinals, took to analyzing these 3 files and comparing their odd behaviors. They had heard of other such strange files, images, data, etc., but were never able to get their hands on them, at least as far as we know. Though rumor states that they in fact were able to locate and collect all of the known files, like the original Smile.jpg, Barbie.jpg, even SuicideMouse.edi. Not even the Grifter was able to escape their grasp, rumor states. But rumor also states the Grifter video even exists, and that's another story. Nonetheless, with all these files in hand, the group lined them up and began to meticulously work through the binary one at a time, checking for similar strings in series of binary that matched. And they did manage to successfully do so, the legend states. The result was 7 individual executable files that did nothing, simply a gibberish pile of zeros and ones. They endlessly puzzled over these files, each tackling and execute each. They decided to name them after themselves: lust, gluttony, greed, envy, sloth, wrath, and pride. At last, they attempted to line the files up. Remarkably, something odd happened. Their copies quite suddenly meshed together. The result was a single complete executable, already named BadlyBreathing.exe. And what of this file? Well, not much else is known after that point. They were too smart to just execute it. They analyzed the file every possible way: hex, binary, conversions, anything to figure out what it would do. It was to no avail. Even after being formed together, it was an even bigger jumble of ones and zeros and made no more sense than the separate executables. Executes. They backed the file up on a flash drive and proceeded to run it. That was the last command found on their destroyed computers a week later. The corpses had been disfigured beyond recognition. Description of them stated that it almost seemed as if they had been brutally slashed across their faces and arms. Every square inch of skin that was bare had been mutilated, almost microwaved, and then sliced repeatedly by a micro-thin razor. The government attempted to hush up the event, but there was some media leakage, and because the Cardinals had been keeping a blog amongst themselves and a few close friends, it's closed down and deleted now, so don't go try to find it. It quickly spread. As per what they had been attempting to accomplish, whether it was or was not related to their terrible deaths. And what of the flash drive? A friend who knew of its existence later checked the home of the group and was unable to find it. According to reports, the drive was found in the pocket of one of the group. It had been taken into custody by the police, and then simply vanished. The trail continues on for more, though. The ball resurfaces every few weeks around the globe. Governments attempt to cover it up, but some media leaks out. Of course, look to the news for people mutilated in their own homes by a murderer, their computers stolen, etc. And if you ever get a cryptic email with an attachment labeled barelybreathing.exe, for fuck's sake, do not open it.